Prediction Markets Edge right here on the early line. No better way to start your week than spending the next half hour with us. Investing your money wisely is the name of the game. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri. And away we go, Joe. The topic's absolutely on fire for today, which starts just a few moments with that big game in Madison Square Garden, huh?
Big game, Donnie, and one I'm looking very forward to here because it is put up or shut up time for the Spurs. But the big question, Donnie, is no matter what happens here, is there any value in some of these future markets here, these predictive markets in the NBA? I think there might be some value here on the board, depending on which way that you're looking.
I'll tell you, new value, Joe. There's certain ways that you could use the Kalshi marketplace, and we've seen it in the past on sports books. Mattress Mac down there in Houston. Hey, man, bet on the Astros. The Astros win, and, everything is free that you buy. Boy, he's going to lose a lot of money. No, he's not. Hedging in the marketplace to use it as promotion makes a lot of sense. Joe, we also saw it last week where there was a bar in New York City. Hey, man, come in. Drinks, everything. Knicks win this game, you don't have to pay anything. What did they do? Hedge in the market there with the San Antonio Spurs. But how about this one, Joe? This might be getting talked about here sooner than later if this is legal. A Spanish La Liga club, Osasuna, is facing potential relegation placed a bet against itself on Kalshi, hedging the financial hit of dropping down a tier. Joe, teams that are getting relegated are going, you know what? Let's lay a little bit off here so it doesn't hurt us financially. This is crazy.
Yeah, but it makes sense, Donnie, right? Yeah. I mean, if you know you're terrible and there's a likelihood that you're getting relegated anyway, why not, Donnie? I don't mind the effort there. I think I might want to tell that because I think there's something there. But yes, sure, why not? Make the effort.
Yeah, if we can't afford to lose, let's just say $1 million, well, let's lay it off, and no matter what happens, we don't lose any money, win or lose here. It sort of makes sense at this point. It's just one of those legalities and fine lines where even if it's the court of public opinion, it doesn't look good. Leagues don't like that, but if it makes financial sense, teams that look at this stuff smartly and analytically, hey, look, we can't afford this hit. Let's do it. I remember a couple years back, Joe, I believe it was the Clemson Tigers when they were about to win a national championship. They actually, as an athletic department, couldn't afford to pay the bonuses. So they took out insurance just in case they won the championship. So the insurance would kick in and pay the bonuses. Not the first time we've seen it. Just interesting that we see it now on the Predictive Market Show. But let's get to the business tonight. Donald Trump, President of the United States, in the building tonight for game number 3. The Knicks fans upset outside the Garden because you can't have those watch parties. Ticket prices tens of thousands of dollars just to get in the door. But the New York Knicks, after game 1 and game 2, both of those games, Joe, they were underdogs here. The Kalshi marketplace now has the New York Knicks with a 54% chance to win game number 3 in their home building. San Antonio, a 46% chance. The Spurs, finally the underdog in the series in a game, Joe.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Donnie, I mentioned I think this game is all about how it starts, and I think with that crowd, it's going to be pretty crazy. So I think San Antonio needs to just hold on and survive the first half, and that if they're going to win, they're going to have to do it in the second half here, Donnie. And if they're going to do it, it's likely because Dylan Harper is going to have the game of his very young career. And he grew up in, New Jersey? He's a diehard Knicks fan. I think Dylan Harper has a good one here tonight. 21.5, 22.5 for his total points, assists, and rebounds. I think he goes up and over that one here tonight.
The New York Knicks can take a stranglehold with a victory in game number 3. The Spurs can open the series if they can pull away with a victory. And also, Joe, we talk about points props you can take. I know you're looking at a team total tonight. We'll see how that factors in. But also, in the marketplace of what are those announcers going to say in the event props, Trump's in the building tonight, Joe. Trump currently trading at 78 cents as a yes contract for his name to be mentioned in the telecast. $100 only pays back $129. The interesting part about that is how do they explain it on the telecast? Because there's going to be comments about it. Is President Donald Trump in the building? That counts, Joe. But how about if the president's in the building, which they can say? That would be a tough one to swallow with a loss.
Yeah, it would. The mention markets are always fun, Donnie, and they're kind of crazy. They're fast and furious. So I would say yes to a whole lot of those, and then make sure you just grab the transcript of the broadcast because you might miss a few things there. But I think there's a lot of opportunities in those mentioned markets here for this game.
From the NBA, Joe, over to the WNBA tonight. It's going to be the Fever and the Mystics tonight, getting down to business, and a heavy favor for the Indiana Fever. Currently on the Kalshi Marketplace, Joe, trading, or should I say chance, at 66 cents. The yes contract is 67 cents. But for me, it hasn't been a great season, number one, for the Fever, but also statistics-wise here for Caitlin Clark. But if she has a bounce-back performance tonight, Joe, she gets 20 points. That yes contract is 47 cents, which means it's plus money. $100 investment on Clark getting to 20 points, that pays back $213. Fever and the Mystics tonight, Joe.
Yeah, neither of these teams all that great so far, Donnie. I mean, a tough loss for the Fever over the weekend against the Liberty, who didn't have, Ionescu there available. Won't have her available again tonight, but I had told you, we saw this mid-May. I think it was May 15th, Donnie. We saw these two teams play. The Mystics, I believe, are the youngest team in the WNBA collectively. And I don't think they made it it was a pretty good back and forth game, but they also scored 1 million points in that game. I don't think we're getting a ton of points in this game. I think they're going to scale it back here a little bit. I'm looking for an under tonight with the Fever and the Mystics.
Liberty and the Sun tonight, another WNBA game. You take a look at this one here tonight. New York is a heavy favorite on the Kalshi Marketplace just to win the game outright, Joe. Currently at an 87% chance. The yes contract, 88 cents. But if you do flip it over to the point spread market, that means New York would have to win by 14.5 points, which means 15 plus. If they do, a little bit of plus money in your pocket, Joe. $100 investment pays back $223, and for good reason. The Sun are the worst team in the WNBA, but the question, Joe, do they get clubbed tonight?
Oh, they're going to get crushed here tonight, the Connecticut Sun here. But listen, to Liberty, we talked about them over the last couple of weeks, Donnie. They were on a 3-game losing streak, and then all of a sudden, they played at home at the Barclay, and then they've rattled off 4 straight. They're 2-0 already in the Commissioner's Cup here. It's going to be 3-0. It's not going to be difficult to overrun the Connecticut Sun, but they are going to need Sabrina Ionescu back at some particular point, but they certainly don't need her tonight to blow out the Connecticut Sun.
Easy peasy is what it should be. We'll see if that works out. Let's flip it over to Major League Baseball. The Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Toronto Blue Jays on the road in Toronto. Philadelphia is a favorite in this one, Joe, on the Kalshi Marketplace, currently with a 62% chance to win. Christopher Sanchez, unbelievable start to the season for those Phillies. And also, the Bats woke up in that series against the Chicago White Sox. Toronto is the dog, but if you feel the home team tonight with a lefty on the mound who tends to give the Phillies issues, $100 investment on the Blue Jays, Joe, actually plays back $264.
Yeah, it's what do you do here? I mean, Patrick Corbin has been more than serviceable here. I don't like Toronto's bullpen, but Sanchez, went over 50 innings without giving up a run until last game. I think he starts a new streak here. I like the under in this spot tonight, Donnie. I think both lineups might struggle just a tad here.
New York tax be damned, Joe. The Yankees are playing tonight. By the way, what's the television sets in New York City going to be focused on? The Yankees game versus the Guardians? We're playing good baseball here. Or, obviously, the New York Knicks game tonight versus the San Antonio Spurs. But how about this, Joe? Live, Cleveland. 51% chance to win this game. New York, 49%. The people believing in the Guardians right now, Joe. Do you believe in the Guardians tonight, or is it going to be a Yankee dub by the time it's over?
Listen, the Guardians have been playing well. They've been pitching well. They've gotten timely hitting. They don't strike out a bunch. I like the fact that Will Warren got a couple extra days here after that rain out against Boston. I like them at home here, and I like the Yankees off of that 6-1 win against Boston to get it done against the Guardians here in this first game of this 3-game set.
Somebody's got to take over for Aaron Judge. Maybe it's Cody Bellinger. He goes yard tonight. $100 investment pays back $667. You know what starts Thursday, people? It's the World Cup. We got you covered starting next right here on BME. Prediction Markets Edge right here on the early line for a Monday. Big week here. Yes, obviously the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, obviously the NBA Finals here as well. But this Thursday kicks off the World Cup. Now, also, Thursday, the U.S. does not play. They play Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern versus Paraguay. Take a look at this, Joe. If we look at the Kalshi Marketplace, chance to win this game, USA, 50%. Paraguay, 24%. Tie, 28%. Let me tell you something right now. U.S. comes out Friday night, takes the loss to Paraguay. You got to be kidding me, Joe. Are you back in the U.S.? Is the U.S. going to tie, or this is a must-win game? And also, if you like conspiracy theories, the ratings are higher the longer the U.S. stays into it. Can't lose to Paraguay here, can we?
Well, no, I mean, Donnie, but you should also be looking at them winning the group as well. So, yes, they should be able to handle business here. But I think maybe some of the better competition down the road might be an issue for Team USA. But I am banking and betting the fact that they should be able to handle the first couple of matches coming their way here in the group stage.
Yeah, no parking the bus in this one here, right? Let's get some goals. And by the way, both teams to score, Joe, you can use that on the Kalshi Marketplace. That's currently a yes contract of 15 cents, which means a $100 investment pays back $6.67 if both teams score a single goal in this game. We'll see if that works out, but certainly different ways that you can invest, absolutely, which include, Joe, the Golden Ball winner. So what is that? I never heard of that before. It's actually the best player in the World Cup, which if I'm listed here, Lamine Yamal for Spain, 13%, Joe. Mbappe for France, 11%. Harry Kane for England, 9%. And look at who shows up next there at 9%. Lionel Messi as well, Joe. Who gets the golden ball for you?
I mean, you got a couple of different guys that you can go with, but how do you not go with Mbappe, right? I mean, most people believe that France are going to be right there anyway, so... And he is. He's also one of the most hated guys, too, which is very strange. Yeah. But, yeah, I think maybe he is the guy to beat here unless something crazy happens.
How about Erling Haaland, who scores like, I don't know, 3 goals a game, it feels like the past couple of years over there in the EPL. He's at a 2% chance and a 3% contract, which means you think he does some damage for Norway? A $100 investment pays back $334. How about the Golden Glove winner? Now, Joe, we've heard the Golden Gloves right here in the United States. Like, that means who can throw best hands here in state competitions. That's not what that means on the World Cup level, Joe. It means who's the best goalie out here. Emiliano Martinez, Argentina, the favorite, at a 20% chance, Joe. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Apparently, they got a good goalie.
Yeah, got a great goalie here, Donnie, and the market is telling you to having them at priced up at the top here. You gotta love it. Goals are going to be hard to come by, mostly because the defense they play too is pretty stifling here. You don't get a ton of shots on him, but the ones that you do, he usually is really good at making sure they don't hit the back of the net.
Now, who's the goalie for the U.S. over here? Is it Tim, whatever his name is, or we move on from that guy? Is he too old at this point? I'm trying to go over the website right now to see. Do we know who that is? Let me see. Forward,
I'm fairly certain I know who you're talking. I'm pretty sure he is no longer on the team there.
Oh, there we go. I got the 3.
I can tell you, Donnie, if they win a couple of games, especially ones where they're underdogs, everybody's going to remember his name.
All right, you got 3 of them, Joe, listed on the roster. Chris Brady, Matt Freese, and Matt Turner. So 2 Matts and 1 Chris here to see if they can get the job done. Just advance out of the group stage, man. That's all we're asking for at this point, which means World Cup final qualifiers. The 2 teams with the heavy action, Joe. España, 29%. France, 28%. England, 21%. Argentina, 19%. You got some nice splits at the top, but the name that just keeps coming up the most here is Spain, Joe.
Spain's there a lot here, Donnie, but it's going to be the path is not easy. And when you look at these types of markets, Donnie, it's really not about who actually wins it and who do you think has maybe the easiest path to get there. And that's really what it's all about. I still think it's France. You're going to have to go through France in order to win anything here. And I still think they make it to the finals.
Yeah, and also, the same things that we always talk about in the investment markets here. You don't have to actually get to the final here to make some money, which means if Team USA, which currently listed, Joe, at a 5% chance in a trading market of 4 cents, which means a $100 investment pays back $2,500 if they do actually make it into the World Cup final. But I guarantee you this, if they make it out of the group stage, that number is automatically going to go higher than a yes of a 4% here, and that in turn could be profitable at this point. Some other teams that would be in the same bracket as them, Turkey, $100 investment pays back $2,500 on a yes for. Somebody's got to win that, grouping. And if they do, those numbers will certainly improve by the time you even get to the World Cup final, which means, Joe, who's actually going to win the World Cup here at this point? And again, coming up here up top, this is close. 16.5% chance, that's Spain. 16.2% chance, that's France. Those two names we're hearing a lot about before this tournament kicks off on Thursday, Joe.
Yeah, and you're going to continue to hear about them because they are clearly the two most experienced, have the most depth, Donnie, and it should not shock any of us if that's what we're going to get there. But listen, I still think France is the team to beat here. I think you can. There's a couple of underdogs along the way worth looking at, but if we're talking about overall winner, I just don't think it makes any sense to try to fade France at this point.
No, it's and again, you're looking at the favorites up here. Certainly the cream is going to rise to the top at this point. Will there be upsets? Absolutely. Brazil listed there under 8%. Germany, who opened up against the United States in a friendly at Soldier Field, they beat them 2-1. Netherlands, Norway, Belgium, and away we go down. In the U.S., Joe, we talked about a 5% chance to make it into the World Cup final. Well, how about to win the World Cup final here for Team USA? $100 investment pays back $6,250. It also, it feels like it should be more than that, though, doesn't it? I understand, $100 with that huge payout there, but a light chance for USA. Can we catch home pitch advantage, Joe, and make our way through? That would be incredible to write that. Remember 1980? Hey, these college kids ain't got no shot against the Russians. Maybe they got a shot, Joe. Who knows?
Yeah, no, they don't. What we can hope for, though, Donnie, is, again, win the group, get there, and who knows, anything is possible. But if you don't win the group and don't advance, yeesh, it's gonna be rough here for Team USA.
Yeah, you know what I don't want to see, though, Joe? Don't get me into the World Cup final and decide this thing by penalty shots. Have them go all night if they need to go all night at this point. Also, give it this sudden death. Go the 90 minutes plus 5 minutes injury time. Go sudden death after that. Somebody's going to score, people. Just the way it's done. World Cup action begins Thursday. The Grid, the place to be. One more segment of PME coming up next.
At the end of the day, LeBron's going to have to put that team on his back. Can he do it? I don't know if he could do it for a 7-game series. Can he give you two, oh my goodness, LeBron at 31? Yeah, I think he can give you a couple of those games. But it's about the other guys that have to step up.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Let me understand this, Joe. Are we going to have any broadcast games on TV anymore? It's all streaming?
You got to pay to watch here, folks. That's just the way it's going to be, one way or the other. And I'm sure this will satisfy, the FCC looking into the coercion that's going on here with the NBA NFL broadcast rights. Yeah, this is all par for the course, I think.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All these idiots out there sounding off on Tiger right now. See, it's so easy to go after a guy that's hurt. He's hurt. Whether you call it whatever you want. He's got a little bit of an issue that he's going to fix. Okay? They're attacking. Attack. Why don't you all shut up and let him go do his thing? He had to leave the country to do it because of privacy? That's nauseating to me.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Now, I see him 15th, 16th, somewhere in that ballpark, and I think that makes sense, Donnie. I don't see him in the top 10. I really don't. I mean, when you look at, let's say, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you start going into that, teams like the Cowboys or the Vikings or the Chiefs, and, could they take a flyer?
Prediction Markets Edge. only on SportsGrid.
Great start to the week here. It's a Monday. Huge doings across the board. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. And as I said, one more segment to go before we get to a big night at Madison Square Garden. But as you know, when you watch the early line, we like to do a Fade the Public poll. We switch it up on Prediction Market's Edge. And now it's time to fade the market. We got it right today. We did, Joe. Vote now. What market do you want to see tomorrow on PME was the question. Nobody wants to see the U.S. Open out here. We like golf. It's going to be coming up shortly. Bitcoin, come on now, up and down. And Michael Saylor investing in more Bitcoin. Not necessarily Spotify. Who's going to have the most streams, Joe? The correct answer was always the NBA Finals. Heavy favorite with a rolling victory here, Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, did your vote count this time, Donnie, or
It
they
did.
they still?
I see the
It
check
did.
mark.
Okay.
I believe I see the check
All
mark
right.
there, so we're in. How about you, Joe?
Well, there you go.
Your vote, or did you go Bitcoin? Did you go Bitcoin? Didn't count.
Oh,
yet?
I went Bitcoin. Yeah, I went Bitcoin. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to drop to $50 so we can all buy in. Then let's do it. I mean, we've got a lot of question marks coming into a game 3 about the San Antonio Spurs team. That's for sure.
We do. We opened up the show talking about that game 3 tonight, what it's going to mean, where the first 2 games, the Spurs were a favorite. Now they're no longer the favorite. Rightfully so. They shouldn't be a favorite. They're down 0-2. The Knicks have been the better team. The Knicks are at home in a crazy home court advantage, and we'll see how that works out. The bigger question is going to be, Joe, whatever happens tonight, how that parlays over to a game number 4. If the Spurs win, we're back in the series. Let's even it up before we head back to San Antonio. But I truly believe, Joe, if a game 3 goes where the Knicks pick up that victory, there's no way, and again, outside of just being a contrarian, which I said I like to be, I don't see any way, shape, or form that the Spurs win game number 4. That is going to be the most ridiculous building you've ever seen in your life for that game. So we go to the Kalshi Marketplace, and New York is a 55% chance to win game number 4 before, Joe, we even play game number 3.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it, Donnie? But again, tonight is going to tell you everything you need to know about this young, inexperienced Spurs team, because we watched a year ago, Donnie, right, in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? We watched the Knicks allow the Indiana Pacers to get off the mat when they had them down. And what happens? Yeah, Halbert makes a ridiculous shot. Next thing you know, the Knicks aren't in the finals. They're going home because they took their foot off the gas. I doubt very much you're going to see the Knicks take their foot off the gas anytime soon. We always say, right, you got to lose before you can win in the NBA, and San Antonio is learning that lesson now.
And how about this lesson, Joe? Who should you take in this series? Is it going to be the Knicks? We're heavily favored now. Is it going to be the Spurs? It's an underdog price. But how about the MVP market here? Jalen Brunson still sits as the favorite here on the Kalshi Marketplace with a 44% chance to win MVP. Karl Anthony Towns is at a very good first 2 games. He's now at 37%. Victor Wembanyama, 21%. Because why? If the Spurs win, he's probably going to be the best player and so forth. But Brunson, who was much more of a heavy favorite than Karl Anthony Towns before the series started, now neck and neck, Joe, which I find interesting here to see which way they might go. If Towns plays as well as he did in the first 2 games, and he plays that same way in games 3 and 4, he should actually be the MVP over Brunson to me.
Listen, there is no doubt he has been, he has just shut down Wembanyama in this series. So kudos to him. But you and I both know what's going to happen and who's going to have the ball in his hands with the game on the line in the final 30 seconds. And that guy is usually the one everybody remembers, Donnie, which is kind of hard at this point. I think you're getting a great price for Brunson because he's going to be the guy making the headlines, not Cat.
Now, here's the differences, Joe, that we take a look at the sports books compared to the predictive markets. If you can find an edge and get a better price point, you are going to do that, which brings up the Pro Basketball Finals, which, again, is the NBA championship. Who's going to win it? Of course, the New York Knicks are a heavy favorite. They have a 2-0 series lead with 2 games in their back pocket in their own building coming up. They're currently trading at a chance of 78% to get the job done in a yes contract, Joe, of 78 cents. But if you feel San Antonio can win this series, Joe, a $100 investment on Kalshi pays back $435. If you flip it over to, let's just say, FanDuel, a $100 investment pays back $385 here. So a much better price point on Kalshi right now if you feel the San Antonio Spurs can come back in this one.
Yeah, and again, if you're looking at the Spurs, you like them here tonight, then yeah, 2-1 is a totally different ball game than 3-0, right? So you might want to buy the repricing in the finals, the overall winner market there, Donnie, but you got to like San Antonio to get it done tonight and make it interesting here for Game 4.
And even if you think the New York Knicks will win this series, heavily favored to do so on the FanDuel Sportsbook, a $100 wager pays back $120 on the Kalshi Marketplace, Joe. $100 investment pays back $129. So still better for you there in that other market as opposed to the sportsbook market. That's what we like to do, people. Compare, contrast, get in, get out, and get paid at this point. Huge game tonight, game number 3 at Madison Square Garden. Tomorrow, we'll let you know the fallout here once again on PME, on TEL. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.